Fozzie Bear. What do you mean there's no government?
There's always a government.
They're in a bunker or a plane somewhere.
And that was taken from 28 days later.
Frankie's recommendation.
I just realized that I was saying there's always a government in the Bane voice when clearly he was talking to Fozzie. Anyway, we're just going to gloss over that.
Yeah. These intros will be better one day.
Yes, we're going to really try. Anyway, oh my.
That's
okay.
basically what we're going to do for every episode. We're going to say a line from like the
nerding
recommendation from the movie.
Okay. Well, hello and welcome to the We Only Like Movies Cinecast. I am Teddy.
I am David.
And I am Frankie the Midget. Well, I don't know why my voice is changing yet again.
So last episode went quite well.
Yeah.
And it was received well, which is also good too. The view count is what did the views are over
I think
like
we got 50 something.
Yeah, more than my Inception video, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. No, I just saw it and I'm like, wow. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was really interesting to see how many people who don't tune into podcasts enjoyed it. So we're gonna keep going.
Also, I think we worked together pretty well. I think we have a good thing going on.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we're gonna keep trying. We're gonna see if we can make things better. Try different things. See if they work. See if they don't work.
It could be kind of cool, like, because I think you've mentioned that some of your friends haven't heard of Full Metal Jacket or something, and like they got introduced to it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be kind of cool to like introduce new movies to people.
Absolutely, for sure. So continuing with this podcast, we're going to try and put different elements into it, because I've noticed in other podcasts they usually have like traditions that they do each episodes. Yeah, segments. There you go.
Yeah, that opening
so one
line
of the segments
was his tradition.
Yeah. One segment that we're going to do is so we're going to discuss one thing that happened good this week that isn't movie related, because sometimes we can get so caught up in movies that we don't really, see much else.
Yeah, it could be kind of cool to branch out of that sometimes.
Yeah, so one thing that happened good for me this week was my La La Land video is doing insane, which is weird because I released it like 2 months ago and it just spiked with like 25 more likes.
I think that's my favorite video of yours. I really like that video.
I think so too. Yeah, I really did put a lot of work into that. I've been trying to up the quality as much as I can, but it's just not going as well as that one. So I'm having to take notes from what I did in that episode and kind of transmit it over. But that's really cool. Yeah, how well it's doing.
Mine's also video related. I made a video on the Godfather Trilogy, which was actually pretty well received, and I got some good input from my friends.
Yeah,
I think you guys enjoyed it.
I will leave links below. It is really good. Go check it out.
Yeah,
as well
it's
as
a great video. Go watch it.
Frankie's video, which he released. Cool to Hate.
Thank you, George, for not copywriting.
George is the YouTuber. That other George we met on his Discord. So
yes,
we got kind of thank him for indirectly making our podcast.
Absolutely, I didn't even think of that. Oh
yeah.
We'll have to discuss that whenever we
have
him on, for sure.
hopefully we could have him as a guest one day.
Mm-hmm.
When you said we met him on his Discord, you made it sound like we got married or something.
Oh, really? Yeah. I met my one true love on Discord. Inside of George.
Oh, wow.
Things are getting revealed on this podcast.
I'm dead.
All right. Man. Frankie, how about that video,
So that's like it was somewhat gaming, but more so of like a video essay type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I put a little bit more effort into that one compared to some of my last videos, like my Jojo Rabbit video essay that's somewhat doing well still.
Nice.
Yeah, I like that video, but I really liked your new one, cause like it's something that I like. The topic I wasn't really interested in. I mean, because I haven't played the game yet.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I was like really surprised that it did really well. Out of all my other video essays or gaming videos, this managed to rack up at least 170 views, and it's still going, I think.
Oh, that's awesome, dude.
I'm still struck by it. I really have to thank George and all my friends that are like watching it and supported me on that, because that took me like, I was supposed to drop it I think a week before the game launch, which was 2 days ago, but I ended up doing 2 days before, and I'm still starstruck that I was able to get a decent amount of views on it.
Nice.
Yeah, I think I watched your live stream of it briefly. I think I saw you do a live stream on it, and I've been on one of your live streams too, which was pretty fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we played
Eternal.
Fortnite.
Fortnite. We don't talk about the Fortnite.
We don't mention that name on this podcast. We are a Fortnite. Whoops, sorry, no, elephant in the room. Anyway, yeah, and I think that's one of the best things. How to grow yourself as a channel is get into a community. Because I've noticed that my subscriber count and my videos have been doing way better just from connecting with people on Letterboxd or even on like Discord channels like
yeah, and
that
another
George
thing is to
created for
be
us.
like consistent as well.
Yeah.
If you consistently upload and then
I would
and
not
also
know
try to
anything about
improve your
that.
content.
Neither would I.
Yeah. I'm a little bit more consistent, but not really.
Yeah, no, it's just YouTube. If you upload like once a week, then YouTube will like praise you, but if not, then it just kind of throws you
Hopefully
to the garbage.
hopefully we'll be consistent with this podcast, because some days we can't record.
Yeah. So David, you watched a few movies as well.
A trilogy
recently.
of movies.
I
recently watched the Godfather Trilogy for the first time.
Nice.
I really enjoyed the first two.
Yes, I actually just watched the first two.
Yeah.
The first two and only
They're both
the first
really
two.
great. Yeah.
Yes.
The third one's awful, but maybe we'll talk about that later. Let's just talk about some good movies first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always wanted to watch it because it's like the most iconic movie ever. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
Like, there's even like a reference to it in Zootopia.
Oh yeah.
And Family Guy. I saw that clip on Twitter.
I haven't seen that one now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
But the first two, they are really, really fantastic. I kind of was thinking whenever I was going into them, they're not going to live up to the hype. Because I've heard so much about them. Because one thing that did ruin Pulp Fiction for me was the hype. But this, on the other hand, absolutely did not.
Whenever I watch like a classic movie, I kind of try to separate that, and I'm just watching it as a movie.
Absolutely, yeah. Also, another thing about Al Pacino is that I completely did not know for like the first half of the movie that it was Al Pacino. Because he looks so young compared to like The Irishman.
Well, yeah, I really love the character transformation of Michael Corleone in those movies. Or like mainly the first one.
Yeah, the last shot of the first one is really
And there's like a lot
chilling.
of detail put into it, like even to his clothes, like in the opening scene. He's like dressed like completely different from everyone else, but as he's transforming into basically, his father, he starts dressing exactly like them.
Right.
I think that was a really cool detail that they put into the movie.
Absolutely.
And the second one lives up to it pretty well as well.
Yeah, it continues the story, but still progresses the theme in a really good way.
I really enjoyed the third one.
I didn't. It just basically deviated like everything that was good about the first two. A lot of the acting isn't that good. Like, I wasn't really impressed by Al Pacino and Andy Garcia. Sofia Coppola was awful in it. I think that's kind of like an iconic thing of itself in that movie.
Yeah.
Like, imagine like having to like work beside her, and you can't tell the director because it's her father's like, "Hey, your daughter kind of sucks at acting." Like, he has to just take it like a champ. I really respect him for that.
I just, I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah. Let's try to not talk too much about it because we might do an episode on those movies.
Actually, yeah, that is a good idea. We're going to hopefully do some trilogy videos or episodes. Because that we can really delve deep into overarching themes and characters in the way that we can't really do it with just a single movie. But one thing that happened last episode is that Frankie recommended a movie for this episode. Do you want to introduce the movie, Frankie?
Yes. The movie is 28 Days Later, has a decent sequel, but the first movie, we're going to talk about the first movie. It's one of the best in I can't really. I don't know if it's the zombie genre because it feels weird. Like there's so many things in the zombie genre that kind of like goes against some things. This movie is a really good horror movie in my opinion. I love the cinematography in it. I love the soundtrack.
Absolutely.
The casting is pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's more focused on the characters because a lot of zombie movies are just saying, "Oh, look at all these cool zombies," but it doesn't really focus on the characters, or it just doesn't really develop them well. Something like, I don't know, World War Z, which is just really bland and boring.
That's just too action.
Yeah, and The Walking Dead to a certain extent. I think the characters are just bad.
Yeah, what I have to give credit to this movie a lot is the quiet moments that they have to really slow down. It gives it a really nice pace to it all, while some other things can just feel like a ride that never stops, and you kind of you just kind of lose focus because it's just kind of too much, and you're like, okay. But this really gets deep into the characters. And kind of because you would think in a horror movie it shouldn't slow down, but it really does, and I think it works quite well in its favor.
It really works.
There was a lot of really good emotional beats. I guess maybe we can't get into spoilers now.
Yeah, we'll get we'll get into spoilers. Spoiler warning. I'll put the time code on screen so that you can skip ahead to whenever the spoilers are done.
Yes.
Yeah, when I forgot the character's name, he gets infected. I thought that was a pretty really effective
good
moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing that I will say though is that it's fine because she gets a pass because she's a kid, but I don't think the kid actor didn't really do that great of a job.
I don't think she was very good.
She had some trouble with that. So that
was like one of my only like little problems I had with the movie.
I did have a couple. What was the ending felt a little rushed at points, but it's fine. You don't really know how to end it.
I'll talk about the ending with you guys after, because I had a deep dive again, because I'm a nerd when it comes to these horror movies. But yeah.
Yeah, I think the most kind of iconic thing about this movie is the cinematography and the story behind
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah,
I really love the look of this movie. I think like how it was filmed really helped you get immerse into the grimy world it's set in. Like,
yeah, organized chaos it feels like, because I was just watching the Hunger Games last night, and the shaky cam is just awful. I can't even express it how awful it is, but this has a really well controlled shaky cam that it feels it has a purpose, and it feels very well edited
because usually
together.
that can't it's more, I would more describe it as handheld.
That's a good
I think it's really well used in this movie. Kind of reminded me of how Paul Greengrass uses it in his movies, like the Bourne trilogy.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think because what I wasn't expecting this movie to do was have a commentary, because most zombie movies, or at least from what I've seen, don't usually have any commentary on society or any sort of themes, if that makes sense. But the ending of this movie, how the men are just there for the women to rape them, it's really
I think it's a really realistic and well done exploration of what would happen if the whole country, basically dissipates.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And like how the government would respond to it, and how people in general would respond to it. I think it explored those themes really well.
Yeah. And like when you brought up commentary with zombie movies, there hasn't really been enough, or if they try, some of them fail. The only good zombie movies with commentary that comes to my head have always been the Romero movies. It's always something that has to do with society in a sense. Night of the Living Dead brings up the topic of racism. It was the first zombie movie to actually introduce an African American character to be the protagonist and be the survivor.
Really?
But
wow.
Yeah, spoiler alert, he dies at the end, but it was the first movie to introduce an African American to be a hero without being I think subjected into any type of racism. Yeah,
there's a good amount of like Romero inspiration in this movie.
Yeah. Because every Romero movie that he's done, aside from his 2000s work, everything from the 60s to the 70s into the 80s have something to do with racism, politics, or just people in general. And with 28 Days Later, it's the whole topic of how people can go like crazy during this whole apocalypse in its own way.
Yeah, for sure. I think it had some very memorable parts for me, especially in the tunnel sequence. I think that was really great. Whenever it gets a flat tire, it's well justified, and then it feels almost like if and I'm really glad that they used practical effects, because I'm pretty sure all those rats were definitely practical, which is something really cool to see.
Yeah.
As well as the lighting at the end of the tunnel, so you could see the shadows of the zombies. It's gave a
really
very horror-esque.
Yeah, it's really impressive how like he was able to do these things with such a low budget. Like this movie only cost like $5 million to make.
That's insane.
Which is nothing.
I
and
can't.
basically like how they cut corners, like they filmed it at night because I don't think they had any permits to film the movie, and like so they wouldn't get caught. And also, like, I think the opening shot of the movie where Cillian Murphy's character is alone in, like, in London, like, they just got really early in the morning, and they just basically filmed when nobody was there. I thought that was also really impressive.
Wow.
That scene kind of, like, haunts me, how he's just there, like, by himself, and you can hear the
echoes. And I really
echoes.
like how you learn with the character.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was just a really solid way of using like a small idea, and I consider to be impressed. I watched Zombieland recently, and that didn't really have as much of an impact at all. I'm not going to really go too deep into my thoughts on that, because I think
having to work with a really low and restrained budget really kind of forces directors to be creative, and basically to come up with solutions to problems, and like.
Yeah,
I think that really helped this movie.
It really did.
I can also say one conclusion to draw from this movie is that both World War Z and this are in the same boat because they have a Pepsi ad. You know, just got.
Yeah.
I was really because I was just so shocked about it, and because I didn't really remember much of World War Z, but then I saw the Pepsi. I'm like, wait, I've seen something like this, and I'm like, that's it, World War Z. So it was honestly, it was a little distracting because they did it like twice. More
distracting in World War Z.
Because it was just the shot just completely lingered on
that movie. It's just to make money, and it's just a bland cash grab. But it did bother me a little bit, but it didn't, distract me from the world of the movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
World War Z's book is 10 times better.
Speaking
of... I haven't seen or read that. I mean, but yeah.
Yeah, speaking of the world of this movie, I also really love how that was explored as well. How the government would respond to this, and how people would respond to that in general.
Yeah. It felt very authentic. I think that's a good word to use for it.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing also that I did manage to enjoy and figure out what they were trying to do, the soundtrack to the movie plays a part in almost every scene. When you hear the soundtrack, or not the soundtrack, but the score of In the Heartbeat, it plays every time something's gonna happen. Something bad happens, it's a lot more fast-paced, and it gives you that anxiety. While if you hear it slower, it feels like a really good song, and something good's gonna happen. But it's played really well and drives the story a little bit more better.
There's like so much tension in this movie because you kind of feel like anybody could die at any moment.
Very true. Yeah, I wasn't sure about anything that was going to happen, which is really cool.
Yeah, because usually zombie movies are predictable. Like, of course, the main character isn't going to die. But in this movie, like, everybody's at risk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely.
No one's pretty much
safe. And the zombies actually feel like a threat.
Yeah.
Because, like, all the characters don't really have any resources.
Not until, like, the very end. But even then, they still pose a threat.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're more used as a plot device to, have the, to develop the characters.
Yeah, that's a good perspective on it for sure.
Oh, yeah, there's also a little bit other details, like, how the color palette of the movie changes, like with the tone of the movie.
Oh, you're right.
Sometimes it's dark gray, and then it goes to blue.
That one scene in the market where like it's kind of more, it's a little bit more lighthearted because the characters, finally,
they're happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, saturated. They saturated the scene for sure compared to
I really love that, and it goes into again like how they were able to convey that with such a low amount of money and a low budget, and they weren't able to do a lot, and they were really restricted in a lot of ways. And I really respect that about this movie.
Mm-hmm.
So when you mentioned the ending earlier,
yes,
I was able to go into like special features and look also up on just YouTube just to see if there was anything missing. They had to go through more than one single ending to get the perfect one. What we get in the movie, even though it can seem like a little bit, there were actually worse endings to it. Some involve the main character, I think, dying or even retconning the whole movie, and it could have ruined everything into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't hate the ending, but I just wasn't that satisfied with it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It felt a little short and a little too rushed. I felt like it didn't actually give a complete conclusion to it. Oh, one more thing I want before we start getting into ratings. One thing I want to mention is I freaking love that the title card of it is used as an actual like 28 days later to show a time passage. I think that is so cool.
Yeah, I really love how it takes place. Like 28 days later after the actual event.
Yes.
So like just like the main character, you don't really know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
You only know a little bit from the opening scene with the monkeys and stuff, but you don't really know everything.
Yeah, you're put into his shoes, which is good. All right. Well, I'm gonna start us off with a rating. So I would like to preface this by saying that zombie movies aren't generally my thing. Like I didn't enjoy Zombieland, but I still think this is a thorough enjoyment or experience for me. And I would give it a 3.5 out of 5. Yeah, it was really good, and it had some thought-provoking stuff in it.
Mine's like one little bit higher. I'd give it a 4 out of 5. I think it's a really solid, well-constructed horror movie, and I wish more horror movies were like it.
Yeah, that is very true.
I'd give it around a 4.5.
Okay.
If anything, yeah.
Very cool.
Okay, so we kind of generally feel the same about it. We all really enjoyed it.
Yeah. I think this is my first introduction to Danny Boyle, so I'm excited to see. Probably Trainspine will probably be my next one that I'll go for.
I think I might want to recommend that like the sequel as well.
Okay.
Okay,
cool.
So don't watch it.
So yeah. One thing. So this is pretty much our end of discussion for 28 Days Later. Another thing that's happened is our projects that we're working on. Do you guys have any upcoming like things that you've been working on that you want to share so that people can look out for?
I'm gonna upload a new video hopefully by Friday. I'm gonna give myself that deadline, and I posted on Instagram. I'm working on a new full-length screenplay, which I'm
very
really
cool. That's awesome.
Doing.
That is really cool.
Yeah. I'm currently. You go.
No, it's fine.
I'm currently working on 3 projects. 2 that I've been even before the podcast. I'm working on an Evil Dead video essay, but that's taking.
Nice.
I have to find the right time to do it, because if I write it or if I just watch it without paying attention, I'm lazy.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to find the right time, because I'm gonna do an Evil Dead Trilogy one, and then I'm working on a zombie story with some friends because they want to make a movie about it.
Okay.
It might not be the best thing, but I really want to give it a shot and give my writing chops something more. And since Predator Hunting Grounds is now officially one of my favorite games, I'm currently working on a game theory on Arnold Schwarzenegger being in the video game, since it's being confirmed.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, so like I just assumed he would be in the game because it's like he's like the main character in it. I haven't seen.
I wish they made him into a character. Everyone's like in the dark right now. No one knows if he's just voice acting in the tapes they have to find around the map, or if he's gonna play a bigger part later on.
Speaking of Arnold, have you played the new Mortal Kombat game? Because
yes,
the Terminator is in it, but like it's not Arnold. And
I felt weird about it.
It just doesn't sound as good. Like he sounds similar to him, but like I don't know why. Yeah,
he did a decent job, but it just comes off weird.
Yeah, there's only one Arnold. That's like
it's like a. It's like me doing a Kermit impression. I can't. There's only one Kermit.
Okay. David, and you said that you're working on a video that's going to be up by Friday, correct?
Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully.
Because I'm going to keep you to that. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Anyway, for me, I honestly, the videos have been slowing way down. I just ideas are not flying because I've just been having so much time with school, and other things that have been happening. Yeah. But I am working on a script for another short film, so hopefully this one is definitely going to be a bit darker, for sure. So hopefully I can actually get it done, and hopefully I can actually.
I look forward to watching it because I think, I really enjoyed your short film. I think you have some talent.
Thank you. Yeah, I hope that it turns out well. I'm definitely putting a lot more thought into this one, trying to make it a little bit more deeper.
I have a couple shorts written.
Our viewers watching this, please watch his video. Yeah. It's better than a Disney movie.
Yeah, I was gonna make a short film with my cousin, but everything with COVID-19 has happened.
Yeah.
We have to stay put. I wasn't really able to make it, but there's a little bit of a silver lining to it. I'm able to write more than I ever have now, than I've ever been able to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the biggest, or the hardest things for me is that I generally get bored very fast with things, so I kind of have to write and then film them as soon as I can. So that's a huge problem with this. So I'm having to write things that are just doing with myself rather than other people. So that's what this is. So hopefully I'll be able to get.
Do you write multiple drafts for your short films? Because I usually just do one draft and then I just kind of fix it up a little bit, but I don't rewrite the whole entire thing.
I'll do an outline and then I'll write it and then I'll go back into it.
I outline it a little bit more in depthly because I know I'm probably not gonna write a second draft.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just probably make little changes to it.
Yeah, it's whatever works, honestly. Last time, what we forgot to do is we actually forgot to plug our social medias. So if you guys want to check out any of our stuff, we'll give most of us will give updates on what we're doing for videos. So if you're ever at a loss and you're like, hey, where are these guys aren't posting or anything like that. So go follow our Letterboxd, our Instagrams.
Twitter and Instagram.
Yes, Twitter's as well. So, yeah. And also, if you guys have any suggestions for the next episode, we are totally up for them because we want to hear your guys' input, as well as questions. So if you have questions and you want to be featured on the next episode, put them down in the comments below or DM us or, whatever you want.
Mm-hmm. I think it is Teddy's turn to recommend a movie.
Right, it is. Oh, I forgot. So yes, this time I'm gonna recommend. I've watched this movie probably nearly 8 times.
Wow.
I've watched it a lot. It's continuing to be one of my favorites. I recommended it to my friend and I watched it with him, and it's one of his favorite movies. It is The Social Network. It is a movie about the creation of Facebook. Now, I'm not a fan of Facebook at all. I really don't like Facebook.
There's more dead people on it than people who are alive. That's actually true.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, you're...
Yeah, and the guy who created it is I don't know, like a lizard person.
Yeah. But have either of you guys seen it?
No.
No? Okay. It's not.
Yeah,
it's not a horror movie, so it might not be your type of thing but it is directed by David Fincher, and it is by far.
It's on the Netflix in the U.S. So.
Okay, perfect.
I'll watch it.
I was kind of half debating rewatching it a couple days ago when it was put on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
So I really love it, and I'd love to talk about it.
Yeah, it's continuing to be one of my favorites. I think the dialogue is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll get into that next episode for sure. Yeah. So that's pretty much it for the episode. If you guys again have any more suggestions,
try to watch The Social Network, so you could kind of.
Oh yeah, actually yeah. If you want to keep up with things, watch The Social Network before the next episode, so then you can come into the spoiler discussion because I'm sure we'll be doing a spoiler discussion on it for sure.
It's a great movie.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks to our audience for tuning in for this episode, and we will see you in the next episode.
See you guys later.
Get stuckmanized.
Adios, amigos.